I summoned you, please come to me. Don't bury thoughts that you really want. I fill you up, drink from my cup. Within me lies what you really want.
The dining room was quiet. The only sounds were the clinking of the cutlery and the soft footsteps of the household staff. Taehyung sat alone at the head of the long table, his dinner laid out before him. Yet the seat across from him remained empty, Vagan's absence casting a shadow over the meal. He had not seen her since morning, and a frown creased his brow as he realized she had not joined him for dinner. It was unlike her to miss a meal without notice. "Where is Vagan?" he asked, his voice carrying a note of command. The maid who had been refilling his water glass paused. She looked down, avoiding his gaze. Then she turned, her voice barely a whisper. "Sir, she won't be coming downstairs tonight." Taehyung's frown deepened. "And why is that?" "Her father visited today. He was not pleased with her working as a professor. He said many unkind words to her in front of us staffs. Same day at morning." Today was supposed to be any other day, with lectures to deliver and papers to grade, but the unexpected arrival of her father had halted everything. Vagan's heart raced, her palms growing sweaty. She had always known her father's views on her career, but she had hoped, perhaps naively, that he would come to accept her choice. After all, her own husband had asked her to not become a housewife. "You should be at home tending to your husband's needs, not groveling off to the university. It's time you thought about having children, about fulfilling your duties as a wife." Vagan felt a sting of his words, each one a blow to her dreams and aspirations. She opened her mouth to speak, to defend her passion for teaching, but the words wouldn't come. The presence of her father, so domineering and critical, silenced her. Taehyung was not there to witness the exchange. Having left early for the day's business, Vagan wondered fleetingly what he would have said, how he would have reacted to her father's harshness. I have responsibilities at the university," she finally managed to say, her voice a mere whisper against the weight of her father's expectations. "Responsibilities?" her father scoffed. "Your responsibilities to your husband, to your family, not to these strangers who fill your head with nonsense. You are nothing but a ohm, Vagan, just a ohm, and an entertainment for your husband at night. Don't try to appear to yourself more than this. You will left with nothing but emptiness and bunch of gags. How can you forget all our teachings and opt for this career, Vagan? You are a woman, Vagan, a woman, not a man that you need to go outside. You have a husband for this. Don't use your small brain, instead use your own, which is the only useful thing you have." Her eyes filled with tears as her father's words sank in her mind. As soon as the door closed behind him, Vagan sank into the chair, her thoughts a whirlwind of hurt. The idea of stepping out into the world, of facing her students, seemed impossible now. Her father's visit had not just disrupted her morning, it just disrupted her whole self now. Taehyung's grip on his fork tightened until his knuckles turned white. "Is she alright?" he asked in his low voice. The maid shook her head, still not meeting his eyes. "She's in her room. She said she needed some time alone. It's been hours since she came downstairs." Without another word, Taehyung pushed back his chair and stood up, his dinner forgotten. He strode out of the dining room, his mind racing with the thoughts of Vagan. He made his way to her room, his footsteps silent but determined. As he reached her door, he hesitated, his hand hovering over the knob. He took a deep breath, seeing himself for what he might find there. Taehyung stood in the doorway, the dim light casting shadows across Vagan's figure. As she sat huddled in her bed, her shoulders shook with silent sobs, the sound of her distress cutting through the stillness of the air. "Why are you crying again over your father's words?" Taehyung's voice was low, his words laced with frustration. Vagan got startled hearing his voice because she definitely didn't expect him to come to her room, let alone speaking like this. "Taehyung, you here? Does the happiness of earning your own meal, your own expenses not matter to you? Are you so weak that you are here dwelling on his words?" He took a step forward, his presence looming over her. "A father who taught you nothing but wrong things in life? Is that the legacy you chose to honor?" Vagan looked up, her eyes wide and glistening. She tried to speak to defend herself, but the words caught in her throat. I just wanted his approval," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Taehyung's expression softened for a fraction of a second before he composed himself. "Approval? You seek approval from a man who knows nothing of your strength, your capabilities." A dry laugh left his mouth hearing him. "You were talking as if a woman and a man are entire different species from each other." "Oh God, Vagan, even after being educated, how can you talk like some backward, illiterate grandma?" "Let's assume we are believing whatever you were talking about, such as women being a completely different species than men. They are a different type of human. But have you ever wondered if there are so many career options for men, but just one for women? And that's just a housewife? Doesn't it sound sick to you that a man can choose between being a doctor, an engineer, entrepreneur, whatnot, but for women there's just one and only option?" "I find it so stupid and illogical that even after meeting so many people in college, you are still believing your parents' baseless words. A career should serve either of these two purposes, but money to happiness. We humans are all different from each other. From our outer appearance to inner self, different people find happiness in different things, as long as it's not harming someone or not illegal. It doesn't matter what you chose to be. If you are being happy, content being a housewife, then be. But if you love being a working person, then be. But either way, you should earn enough to feed yourself and tend to your basic needs all by yourself." She looked at him with her tear-stained face. For the first time, they had such long conversation where he was not insulting her. "You know, Taehyung, during childhood, whenever it was Christmas season, Mom and Dad used to buy me kitchen items. Even if I asked them to buy me new soft toys at all. My brothers, other hand, used to get all their favorite new toys. I used to think kitchen appliances are toys for girls. I used to happily use them in the kitchen. This continued till my teenage years too. I was totally a math nerd. I always wanted new math book for any festival, but they never got that for me. My brothers even got new, yet I never complained. I loved all of them because those gifts were given by my parents. I used to feel happy because at least they were buying me gifts. But now if I look back, I was never as happy as the day I got my first paycheck. The feeling was ethereal. Then why were you crying thinking your father's word? Thank you, Taehyung. Thank you so much. Only because of you I was able to experience this happiness only because of you. Taehyung froze at his place, her words sinking deep into his head. No, what the hell she was talking about? How could she talk like this after the way he treated her? If you haven't said that you didn't want me to become just a housewife, I wouldn't have applied for professor's job. So thank you, Taehyung. Thank you so much. He looked at her with a clenched jaw. Then he fished at his palm. Hungry beggar eats whatever they are offered. I didn't do anything. You were capable, passionate about teaching. That's why you got the job. Nothing more. Take rest and don't think about your father's words. I am sitting clear with your dinner. Have it, then sleep. Saying this, he left from there without letting her to say any other words to him. She looked at his retreating back, being stunned. Sometimes later. The night was still as Taehyung's car pulled up to the grand facade of his in-laws' house. The lights were dim, casting long shadows across the lawn, and the neighborhood was silent, save for the occasional bark of a distant dog. It was almost midnight, an hour where respectable visitors would never arrive unannounced. Wayne's father, roused from his bed by the unexpected sound of a car engine, peered through the window, his eyes widened in shock at the thought of his son-in-law. He hurried downstairs, smoothing his hair, straightening his nightrobe, preparing to greet Taehyung with faint warmth. But as soon as the door swung open, any pretense of welcome was shattered by the fury in Taehyung's eyes. The air was charged with tension, and Wai's father took an involuntary step back, his heart pounding. How dare you? How dare you say such nasty words to my wife? You have no right. No right to belittle her, to make her doubt her worth. She's more than a wife, more than a potential mother. She's a person with dreams, aspirations, and I will not allow you to treat her down. Taehyung, I was just only saying the best for you two. Best? Taehyung cut him off, his voice laced with scorn. You think it's best to confine her to a life she does not fit? It seems you have forgotten the very words of mine, settlement of mine, where I clearly stated you cannot say a word to her after this marriage. Then how dare you talk to her? How freaking dare you? Mr. Choi flinched at his tone. I didn't mean. I don't freaking care what you meant. I was dead serious about my words that time. Don't ever think you can be her life's part again. No, man, never. The day she left this house as my bride, she no longer remains your daughter, Choi Vagan. The deal was to make her my wife in exchange of backing you your illegal business. And you won't ever show up your face to us again. How dare you not keep your part of the deal? How dare you? She's my daughter. I was only caring. Oh, cut the cap, Joy. I know very well people like you. You won't be able to get any extra money from me. If you don't want to lose your business completely and don't want to be banned from the upcoming B conference, then stay away from her. Like I asked, erase her from your freaking family tree. Mr. Choi nodded his head while bowing to the powerful man in front of him. Hierarchy. Hierarchy is such a smirk appeared on Taehyung's face like the devil he was, he stated. Choi Vagan is dead. I will make sure no one found even her ashes ever. With those final words, Taehyung turned on his heel and left, leaving Vagan's father standing in the doorway, the chill of the night air a stark contrast to the heat of his shame. A week later. The university courtyard was a flurry of activity with students and faculty alike enjoying the brief respite between classes. Taehyung, having decided to visit Vagan, leaned against a pillar. He never actually planned to visit her to her university, let alone pick her up, but today he came. He exactly knew why, just today he came. He spotted her soon enough, her figure unmistakable as she walked alongside a man, laughing at something he said. Taehyung's gaze sharpened as he recognized the man as Jimin, the math professor Vagan had mentioned before. Unseen, Taehyung observed their interaction. Jimin said something that made Vagan smile, and Taehyung felt an unfamiliar tightness in his chest. Thank you, Jimin. I was actually quite nervous about the presenting it. Well, you certainly didn't look it. You have a natural talent for teaching. I am glad we are colleagues, Jimin. It's nice to have someone to discuss these things with. I feel the same, and remember, if you ever need anything, I'm just a classroom away. Ryan, anyways, would you like to join me for an evening snack? There's a great place nearby that I think you will like. That's kind of you, Jimin, but I should really head home after this. Taehyung's hands balled into a fist at his side, his muscles, his jaw working silently. He watched as Jimin nodded. As Vagan walked away, Taehyung's eyes followed her every step, the conflict within him growing. He couldn't understand why his simple refusal hadn't eased the tightness in his chest, why the thought of her spending time with Jimin sparked an anger he couldn't justify. Without a word, without a sound, Taehyung turned and left the university grounds. His fist remained clenched, the nails digging into his palm, a physical manifestation of the turmoil that raged within him. Vagan remained unaware of his presence, of the storm of emotions he had fought to keep hidden within himself. I'm sure you guys have already guessed the ending of the story, because come on, I have dropped hints like Pokemon in this part. Anyway, stay tuned, just 2 parts are left. That too, part 7 will be dropped within few hours.